Hello, hello. I think I'm live. And it's a little dark on this side, so let's adjust the lights. Nope, I think it's just my camera. Okay. Is anybody out there? Can you see me yet? I'm doing this all on my own without any support staff, so to speak. So I definitely want to signal. Anybody out there? I'm going to be checking a few of my notes here while we're waiting to get started. I have been told that I'm sideways, so we're going to work on that. Always something. This will probably be the first time this has happened, so of course it would be me. So let's hang in there for a second, folks. Sorry about that. And that just fell, so let's see if we can do this without making things crazy. How's that, folks? Does that look better? I see. I got all these notes. I'm sideways. Okay. Am I still sideways? Because I think I'm doing this right now. Talk about an interactive library program. I'm getting lots of support out there in the online world. So, okay. Well, it looks all right to me, folks. If it's still showing sideways, please let me know because it's kind of hard to tell from here. Anyway. I'm checking in. Hold on. Oops. I'll have to stand up so you can see me, which is just fine. Awesome. Thank you. I heard in the background that I'm all right, so that's fun. You know, one of my favorite, anybody here remember the Far Side cartoons? One of my favorite ones was this image. It's a spaceship, and it's really on these tall spaceship legs, and there's a crowd of Earthlings all staring up at the spaceship, waiting for something to happen, and this long staircase. And there's two aliens at the top of the staircase, and there's one alien at the bottom staircase, flat on his face, spread eagle, and the two at the top say, well, so much for inspiring a sense of awe. So I kind of feel like that way. You know, I'm never going to actually be the cool guy at the party, because I'm going to do something to tell on myself anyway. So we're waiting around just a couple minutes. According to 1 o'clock, I've got 3 o'clock. Let's see. Somebody want to tell me if it's time to start? Because I have 3 different timepieces here with disagreeing times. So I'm going to wait for a note from one of my friendly support people out there in the digital world to say, hit it. Okay? All right. Whoa, pardon me, be right back. Okay, folks, I think it's time to get going. Thank you. Anyway, see, it takes a village, right? We're all in this together. We're all in this amazingly different, somewhat stressful, somewhat challenging, full of moments that surprise us and show us our strength. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be the arts that keeps us sane. You know, we're going to have to worry about, so many things that are real world, but the arts are what keeps us sane. And definitely music and movies and books and audiobooks and all those little elements that the library can provide to you through our online resources definitely will help us through. So, folks, I thought I'd make an important announcement since I have your attention, and there's a few of you that I know watching. This decision doesn't come lightly, but I will be retiring by the end of this week. And I've thought it through, talked to the people in my life, talked to my boss, thought very seriously about it, and so it seems like the right time to go ahead and do that. So hopefully everybody will still see me around town. And just in case you're wondering, no way, no how, I am not going anywhere. So that one sort of started off quietly. I thought I'd get a reaction out of you folks. So it is April 1st. It's April Fool's Day. Normally a much jollier day around the library system. It's certainly a day where people look at me with side eyes and suspicion. I've had people definitely be on the watch the entire day they're working with me because I grew up the youngest of six boys, and April Fool's Day wasn't as important as Christmas or July 4th. Anyway, so I woke up with an earworm today, and that earworm was a song called April Fools. And April Fools is this amazingly wonderful, poppy, romantic, clever song by Rufus Wainwright, and it came out on his debut album, the eponymous name Rufus Wainwright, back in 1998. So of course I had to check it out. And yes, in fact, we do have Rufus Wainwright on Hoopla. And Hoopla is this amazing resource that we have that you can access for free through the library's website or through the app on your phone, your tablet, on your desktop. And we, of course, you need a library card to be able to access Hoopla. And so I go looking for Rufus Wainwright. There's a ton. There's got to be something like, I would say at least 43, 45 different albums. And for you young people, that's what we used to call them. But it's full albums, full collections of music, all of his albums that he's contributed to. There's a Leonard Cohen tribute album. There's so many soundtracks. Some of you might know Rufus Wainwright from movies that he's performed in. He actually appeared and sang in Boardwalk Empire on HBO. And he's really someone who's like this amazing combination of pop, opera, cabaret, Tin Pan Alley, which is definitely something you don't hear about very much these days. He is what many would refer to as a troubadour. And I cannot recommend enough anything by Rufus Wainwright. But if you're going to start off from the beginning, go to his first album from 1998. You're going to be really thrilled. But I even say that would be a great date night album. And of course, you're thinking date night. What? When we get dressed up and go to the living room instead of the dining room? Well, make it a theme. It could work. So something I like to do when I'm just hanging out on the web, and I've decided I'm going to change the banner, the cover picture on my Facebook profile, and I don't know what I want to do. Is I'll go to Google Images or some other search engine and just type in some random words like April Fools and type images to see what comes up, because there might be something interesting. There's often a lot of things, surprising things I'm not sure I would want anybody to see, but it's always fun and interesting. And so this stream of consciousness is the way I decided to go with my search this morning using the Hoopla app. And so I kept doing that. So April Fools on the Hoopla app revealed that apparently there were several big Grateful Dead concerts hosted back in the 80s on April Fool's Day. Who knew? And so I decided, let's check out Hoopla's. Now, there are a few Grateful Dead fans out there. I know them personally, and there's probably some. It might be a guilty pleasure, and there's 179 different Grateful Dead albums. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if some of those albums were recorded by a fan, off their 8-track tape player back in the day. And so if you have never listened or never quite understood the magic that is the Grateful Dead, now's the time to explore it. You've got lots of resources, and a lot of us have a lot of time, so there's something to play with. I got a message, and so you can apparently see what I'm holding in my hand, but I'm going to hide those for now. Anyway, so April Fools. So did you know Dionne Warwick made a classic song in the late 60s, The April Fools? One of her many, collaborations with Burt Bacharach. And so I check out April Fools and Dionne Warwick. 69 different albums. You can listen to Dionne Warwick pretty much for the rest of this experience until you get back to work and never listen to the same thing twice. Hey, the word fool. If you use that word, of course, you can find yourself landing on the classic, the Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes. And I look up the Doobies, and there are 43 Doobie Brothers albums, full collections on Hoopla. So this stream of consciousness continues, and it goes all over the place. And of course, I was hoping to find some movies that also definitely, jumped back and forth between the soundtrack and the movies. But right now, I can tell you we don't have the movies by Sofia Coppola that I really wanted to talk about today, Marie Antoinette and Lost in Translation. But we do have the soundtracks. And if you really, really want to know what it's like to listen to cool music in the late 80s and early 90s, listen to the soundtracks to Marie Antoinette and Lost in Translation. Some of the best collections of music I discovered My Bloody Valentine by listening to those soundtracks, and so many things that we had heard from before that really, really will take you to a place in time. And right now we all could use a little escape. So I recommend that for sure. More stream of consciousness. For some reason, I thought of prankster films and subjects, and one of my favorite, the biggest prank, or Mistaken Identity, was the Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn film, Overboard. Super classic. Lots of fun. You can watch that on repeat, and you'll always find something new to laugh about. And then there was a documentary that came into my mind, and I cannot recommend this documentary enough. So, who remembers Pee-wee's Playhouse? I'm sure most of you do. Who remembers that video by the Smashing Pumpkins for Tonight Tonight that looked like an old silent film? Both of those were greatly influenced and designed by a gentleman named Wayne White. And we have a documentary on Hoopla called Beauty is Embarrassing. I cannot say enough how much fun this movie is. Beauty is Embarrassing. By the time you're finished watching that, you want to have Wayne White as your next door neighbor or your best friend. It is completely entertaining. I've probably watched it at least 5 or 6 times in the past couple of years myself. Always something you can put on to enjoy. And, on and on we go with the stream of consciousness. With Smashing Pumpkins, we have a ton of Smashing Pumpkins if you want to listen to full albums of their music again. Some of the stuff that you may have not liked in 1994 that listening to with a new perspective and years of experience might appeal to you. And unfortunately, I don't have everything I wanted to go to, but I kept looking and looking, and for some reason, I went from Smashing Pumpkins to The Life of Pi to Hugo Cabret, and I ended up discovering this morning that we have the Much Ado About Nothing from 1993, the Kenneth Branagh version that he made with Emma Thompson. And it's interesting because it has cast a lot of people with a lot of different acting styles. One of the first truly mixed race casts for Shakespeare production, which is always a cool thing to try and makes it very interesting. And there's so many talented actors that, let's spread the wealth of good scripts and fun around. And honestly, Much Ado About Nothing, another great soundtrack, a lot of fun, and a glorious performance by Emma Thompson that I can't get out of my head. It's like one of the reasons why I became a big fan of hers all those years ago. So I'm going to wrap it up. I've said a lot. I'm looking to see if there's any questions, and I don't see anything just yet, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to remind you that Hoopla is found on the library's website, which can be found pretty easily. I'm thinking you already know where to go, sjcpls.org. And of course, the Hoopla app on your iPhone and your tablet. And just search for the library, use your library card. There's also something released just this last week called Bonus Borrows with over 1,000 titles of music, movies, and ebooks that will not count against your monthly limit. So definitely check those out. So next week I'm going to talk a bit again about Hoopla, but next week we're going to just focus on books because I've talked a lot about movies. And so as part of my segue, my props here that I have, I would be completely remiss not to mention that today is Debbie Reynolds' birthday, the late, great Debbie Reynolds, April 1st. And we do have her biography, Unsinkable, in both audio and print, ebooks, both on Hoopla. Unsinkable, of course, comes from the title of her famous role, Oscar-nominated The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And Debbie Reynolds is a pretty indomitable spirit that blessed us with her talents. For you young folks who don't recognize the name, she's also credited with another contribution to pop culture. That would be Carrie Fisher. And of course, we have some of Carrie Fisher's works on time. In fact, we have an audiobook of hers called Wishful Drinking, which is nothing but completely entertaining and read in Carrie Fisher's voice. So be sure and check those out. We'll talk about more next week. So folks, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. Thanks for all the guidance, because it's obvious that I couldn't tell that I was sideways or upside down, but with everybody's help, we're going to get through this A-okay. So be well, and if you have any questions, make sure and send it to us through Ask a Librarian, through a messenger, through email. We will respond one way or another. Be well, everybody. Stay safe.